Good, doctor.
All right, hang on just a minute.
Okay, very good, very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wiley Drake, and I am at a place I have been before. The last time I was in this courthouse was over the Kelly case, where Kelly was brutally beaten to death, literally,
Beaten to death.
by the police department of Fullerton. And I'm not going to go into that tonight. We're not talking about that necessarily.
Yeah.
But the last time I was here in this courthouse to cover anything was when that Kelly Thomas case was going on.
Yeah.
In fact, the matter is, they founded an organization called Kelly's Army.
Mm-hmm.
And it is my privilege to serve as a chaplain for the Kelly Thomas Army. And
right.
we had a great deal to work on there. Now,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, you can see me right now, and in just a moment I'm going to turn the camera around and photograph the courthouse. I mean, not the courthouse, but the city hall and other places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to also, it's one of those things I say all the time, my show, people say, well, how do you get people to come on your show? Well, I just invite them. And when I have people on my show, I quite often say it was a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got a call this afternoon, and they said, Pastor, you should go to city council meeting tonight. I said, well, why? I thought they were talking about my town of Buena Park. And they said, no, Fullerton. Something is going to be happening in Fullerton tonight. I said, well, what is it? I don't have time to tell you. Just go to city council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I respect this person, and they're a correspondent for my show, and so I respect their decision. So here I am.
Okay.
So I got over here, and I found out, and I remembered after I got here, that the city council meeting is not at 5 o'clock. They have a closed session quite often at 5, but their regular session is at 6:30. So I'm way early. So I came over here and decided that since my show is on from 5 to 6, rather than sit in my office where I've been all day and sort of stuffy, that I'd get out and get a little fresh Southern California air from Fullerton. So with that in mind, we're going to go live now here in Fullerton. We are live in Fullerton, and I'm going to turn the camera around so we can get this gentleman on. There's the doors that we went through many, many times in the Kelly Thomas case. Now, I walked up here a little before 5 and sort of got the lay of the land. I knew a little bit about it, but to figure out where I would shoot, how the light was, the light's pretty good here, even this late in the day.
Yeah.
And I met a gentleman, and I'm going to ask him to introduce himself again in just a moment. But I met a gentleman, and after we talked, I said, if you'd like to be on TV, I'll put you on TV and let you tell your story. And we love to tell stories on the Wiley Drake Show. And so we're going to let him, number one, introduce himself, and then number two, he's going to tell his story, and we'll talk to him about that. Now, I've got the camera on him, got a nice bright red shirt, and a beautiful, beautiful beard. I tried to grow a beard one time, but mine just comes out sort of scraggly, and it doesn't look good. It just looks like I need a shave. So I've tried a couple of times, but never been successful. Now, when I interview people, I ask them 3 questions. Number 1, who are you? Number 2, where are you from? And number 3, why are you here tonight? So, tell us who you are, please, sir.
Okay, my name is Stephen with a PH, Conway, Stephen Lee Conway.
Okay, and I told him a while ago, if my dear wife Barbara was here, she'd say, and he spells it right, because her maiden name was Stevens, and it was spelled S-T-E-P-H.
Yes,
not with a V.
That's
and
right.
so I told him, if my dear wife was here, she'd say, honey, he spells his name right.
That's right.
So his name is Stephen. Stephen, if you don't mind me asking, you're not a young kid or a young whippersnapper. How old are you?
I'm 66 years old.
66 years old.
Yes,
All right. All right. Now, Stephen is 66 years old. Are you a resident of Fullerton?
Yes, I moved here about 8 years ago.
Okay.
And I love this little town. It's just one of the most friendliest, communities, a wonderful place to live, you know.
Amen. Well, I come to Fullerton quite often. I live in Buena Park, which is not far from here.
Okay.
But quite a number of businesses and the courthouse and the city hall and other things are here.
Yeah.
And so I come to Fullerton quite often. And but Stephen told me a story. He brought up the subject that he had been kicked out of the local Fullerton library here.
Yes, I did.
And I want to ask him to tell that story and tell us why in the world would they kick this gentleman out. He doesn't look like to me he's dirty or filthy. Doesn't look like to me he's mean or unkind. Now, I've been fooled before.
Yeah.
But it appears to me that he's fairly well kept. And fairly clean and fairly reasonable. And yet he's been thrown out of a public library here in Fullerton. So, Stephen, tell us when and how and what happened.
Okay, it happened about a year and a couple months ago. I was upstairs using the computer and watching a video, and there was a Japanese lady and her daughter sitting next to me, and they were very loud and very gross, I thought, you know, and I told them a couple of times, I said, can you keep your voice down and this and that, and she got just real angry and smart with me, and then she went downstairs and she told one of the assistant librarians that this guy is being she turned the tables on me, that this guy is being gross to me, you know. So anyway, the assistant librarian came up to me and she said, you know, you gotta calm down and no, this and that, you know. And I got pretty insulted. After a couple of minutes, I went downstairs, and I told the lady in front of the librarian. I said, you know, this person, I've never seen her before in my life, and I'm here in this library 4 or 5 days a week, and she has turned you all against me, or something along those lines, you know. And I said, I told the assistant librarian, I said, you have to realize that I'm your friend. I've been here. You see me multiple times, and this other person, I don't know her at all. I've never seen her before in my life, you know. And so I said, you know, you got to realize that I'm your friend. So suddenly the librarian guy, about a 45-year-old kid or 45-year-old kid, he jumps up and he gets in my face and he says, don't you speak to the other librarians like that, you know? And I said, what did I speak like? I didn't say a darn thing wrong to her. I said that I'm your friend, and this other person, and we don't know her at all. And suddenly. And
so let me ask you an obvious question here.
Okay.
You weren't using foul language, or yelling and screaming or anything like that.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
I was very polite, but I was firm and strict. And
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. No. And I told her, I said, you know, and anyway, the guy librarian, he jumps up, he's about a 45-year-old kid, jumps up and he says, don't you speak to my staff like that, you know. And I said, well, who, Mr. Librarian, who the heck do you think you are, this and that. And I said, you know, you want to talk to me, let's go outside. And he talked to me in a public way outside. I'm 66 years old, but I'm sure not afraid of you, you know. And so he just walks off, you know. Next thing I know, I leave after a couple hours, and I come back the next day to get back on the computer, and then the.
So as far as you thought, this was sort of over. You had
I thought
you had a tete-a-tete with this guy, obviously.
Yeah.
And if we heard his side of the story, I'm sure he would taint it in a way that would make you look bad. But
that's right.
But as far as you could tell and was concerned, it was sort of over, and you left. Then now you come back to use the library.
Well, this was about a year and a couple months ago, and I came back the next day. Back up to the computer, and the superintendent of librarians, silver-haired guy, about maybe 65, 70, about my age, he comes up and he says, hey, your name's Steve Conway, isn't it? And I said, yeah. He says, come on out here, you know. And I walked out behind the guy, and then he's got a Fullerton police guy there, you know. And I walked behind both of them out to the side there, and he's got this list of things. He says, you've been abusive to staff, you've been this, you've been that, on and on and on and on. He listed about 10 things that are not true at all. And I've got a really good friend here named Shirley, a little Japanese girl, about 50 years old, and she sticks up for me all the time. Anyway, I've got friends here, but he says you can never come back, and the cop says the cop from up there, he says if I ever see you in here again, I'm going to arrest you. I said, well, I'm not going to come back then, you know.
Yeah,
this is about a year and a couple months ago. So, you know, I don't want any trouble, you know, so I just left. I haven't, but I come back tonight to see if I could come back to the library again, and I apologize to whoever I got to apologize to, because it's a wonderful library, and I want it to be, I'd like to be allowed to come back to the library.
Sure, sure.
You know, so.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, in these kind of stories, we never know both. There's one side and the other, and the real truth is somewhere in between.
That's right.
But,
that's right.
But it doesn't sound like to me this was a justification for booting him out of the library and threatening to arrest him.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would have arrested you for.
What charges?
What the charges would be, but.
As you can tell, I'm not a violent person.
Yeah, and I would say that you're, in my opinion, and you, I know you didn't ask me for it, but my opinion is, I think you're on the right track. I think you need to go to them and apologize and ask them if they would allow you to come back, and and that you will certainly abide by rules and regulations.
That's right. I
and
will.
do what they would want you to do.
That's right.
And I would hope that the Fullerton Library.
Yeah.
The people that are in charge, the people that make the decision, I would hope that they would say, okay, in their opinion, you know, you were a bad guy, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in their opinion, it wasn't that bad, surely.
No,
and
give me
then
another chance. Yeah.
And then to say, okay, Stephen, we're going to give you another chance.
Yeah.
We're going to watch you, but we're going to give you another chance. I hope that will happen.
Thank you.
And if it doesn't happen, I would like to know about it.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it on television.
Okay.
I'm hoping that the Fullerton Library will be customer-oriented enough to know that what they're doing is not right.
Yeah.
If your side of the story is what you told me is truth, and I believe that it is.
Absolute truth, yes.
But the bottom line is, I understand that they have people that come and just camp out in the library.
Yeah, I've seen
and,
that.
And they come and they set up camp in the library.
Yeah, the homeless and that.
You know, the homeless, that kind of thing. Yeah. I happen to have the privilege over in Buena Park. I run a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a shelter there, and I get on our people all the time. I tell them, go to the library and use it, but don't camp out. Don't don't take your sleeping bag and your dog and your cat.
Yeah. Don't make it a sleazy thing. You know?
Don't make it a camp out.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping, and I'm going to be praying for Stephen, and I hope the rest of you will as well.
Thank you, Doctor.
And pray that the library here in Fullerton, California, would allow him another chance. Give him another chance here at the library.
I sure hope so.
Well, we're going to be praying for that, and you let me know. You've got my card. That's got my phone number and everything on it. You call me, and you let me know what the results are.
Okay, Dr.
And
Wiley.
if they refuse you, I'll go talk to them, and I'll want to know why. This man seems like he's reasonable to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, why did you not let him come back? And so
Thank God.
we'll get to the bottom of it.
I feel like I've got a friend now.
Well,
so
I want to be a friend to you, like I am to other people as well. But at the same time, like I said, I'm hearing just your side of the story.
That's right. Yeah.
And I want to hear their side.
That's right.
But it sounds like to me that they have overreacted in this situation.
Yes.
And if they have, I hope they'll be man enough or woman enough to admit it and say, okay, Stephen, we don't think we were wrong, but we'll give you another chance.
Give you another chance, yeah.
I believe you ought to be given another chance.
Thank you, Doctor.
And we'll do everything we can to help bring that about, if at all possible.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
But I would think your attitude and your apology and so forth needs to, be in order when you go.
Yes.
And then if it doesn't happen that way, you let me know.
Okay.
And we'll do a follow-up story.
Okay.
On the Wiley Drake Show. Okay. And we'll do it from the Fullerton Library.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. All right.
And we'll ask them to come on with us. They probably won't, but we'll give them that opportunity to tell
bring it all out in the open,
their side of the story if they so like.
Yes.
So
thank God.
That's an interesting story, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the street in